Now as the project is starting to get framing winding down, I'd like to bring out the architects and get them over here and kind of take a look at that. So we're going to invite Rick and Greg to come over and talk about some things. So again, I'm Dave Sweet. Thanks for joining me. Let's meet up with those two.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Dave, how are you?
Good, good. Good to see you again, Rick.
Nice to
Greg,
see you.
thank
Nice
you
to
for
see
coming. Yeah, project is moving along here a little bit. Well, like I say, the framing's, we're winding down here. We're almost finished, and actually we had to switch gears midstream there. Bill Zidane, who we had several meetings with, and is a great guy for doing this kind of insulation system, just got wrapped up on a project. He thought he would be able to get done sooner, and it's just taken longer. And so we reached out to a local framer, and he helped us out, and we got going to a certain stage, and now we're still kind of working with Bill on some of that insulation details and going back and forth, and hopefully he's going to free himself soon, or I got to keep going. But anyhow, the main reason I invited you guys to come over today is to kind of go through, let's see where we are, make sure everything's coming along as you envision, because we're working together as a team here. I'm more of that 2x4, and I need the envisionment of the artistic talent, and what we picked in a project. So
we appreciate that, and we just to reiterate the fact that change happens all the time on projects like this. So what you've been through is not unique, and what you're going to go through from here on out is not going to be unique as well.
Yeah.
So we've all been through it, and every project has certain similar experiences like that. But the volumes look great. We can tell now from the massing of the building that it feels right. It feels like the structure as we've designed it. And it feels like things as we start to add trim and other components to it, the scale will feel right, and everything's going to kind of blend in and be where it was meant to be.
As you can see, the framing's taking place. We were able to keep the project alive, and keep things going. I just, wanted to bring you over here to talk about some things, changes we had to make on the fly. And like you say, Rick, it comes by all the time. It's almost a daily thing. You got to, make changes and decisions. And I think we did a good job, so I just wanted to get your viewpoint on a few things. So. Yeah, so again, it's taking shape here. We're going to work on that ceiling in here, the barreled ceiling, but that's probably one of the last details we're going to do. But, as we go into the great room, it's starting to take shape now,
Yeah, no, this really shows the volume and the drama that you guys are looking for here. Very great space in here.
Yeah, it kind of fulfills what Debbie was looking for there, that little bit of grandness, but not over the top, and yet it fits with the thermal envelope, so we're not really changing or doing anything. We have the stepped wall here upstairs, and we're able to tie that all in, so it looks like it's all part of it. Yep. So between, you were saying, details and what we do over here, that all kind of draw attention more up here and not, so it's taking space. And since we're here, we really got to get together and talk about what the envision is for over here, because we were going to do a fireplace and kind of a built-in, whether we're going to go to floor to ceiling or stuff. We allowed for the space and everything for it, but now it's, at least we get the bones of the building. You get a better feel. Sometimes to me, on the paper, it doesn't say everything. It's like, how many times have you had somebody move the wall, You get, oh, that's not what I want, but you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. So now that you see the space here, we get a better idea of what size things need to be and what scale they need to be in order to feel comfortable within the volume of the space. And I think that having the framing done and having it complete gives us a very good idea and a starting point to do that work. So the more I look at it, the more I'm still saying wow. So it's a very dramatic space here.
Yeah, and like in here, I'm still challenged with that because our house is so well insulated. The gas fireplace, it almost has to be no output. It almost has to be just for looks and not really to heat the space, or you're going to have to open the window when you run it. So we're like, that's not energy efficient. And, we're trying to be eco-friendly. So we're trying to play with, all those things that go together, and the depth and things that work with and the venting. Yeah, so like in our last meeting, we talked about the master bedroom ceiling and all the different ways to do it. We could have done, flat ceiling, we could have done cathedral, sloping, all the other things. So we just decided to do a mixture of it, like a tray, but the tray on a 45. Mm-hmm. Because, again, we had that overhang here, so we tried to match that all the way around. Well, if we're going to match that with a dropped or a soffit or something, what could we do in the middle? So kind of came up with this, and, my envision with this, we don't like to run air conditioning as much, so we like a ceiling fan, but I don't want to be that focal point. Usually that's hanging down so low. So the thought was, if I can bump this up kind of high enough, like visually you walk in, you're not really looking at that ceiling fan. Maybe some other decorative things or stuff. So this way I can have it up in here, and if we want to run it at night and do that. So.
Yeah, and the added drama in here as well will kind of play off the ceiling in the great room space. It's always good to have different level ceiling heights to kind of change your eye level as you're going through a home. And as you said, then you can play with the drama of light fixtures and fans and other things like that, which can help bring interest into the entire home.
Yeah,
it's a great spot.
Yeah, and you know, like I say, another change on the fly was, you know, I originally envisioned the headboard on this wall over here. We might do some kind of a feature or effect on the wall there, even if it was a fireplace, who knows. But the idea was looking at it, and then we got a space, I said, well, there's the view. So kind of think that this becomes that new wall that we're going to put the headboard on. We have some lights, you know, down lights for above for reading and all that. And, you know, it's just funny how things evolve on that. You know, again, this is minimal change on here, but remember we had a barn door here. So we're actually in the process of changing that and just kind of sliding it into a conventional door, open that way over there.
Are you going to shift this?
Yeah,
opening
and
over?
smaller and shift it over to regular, you know, 2.6 door, push it over to there, and then this way you'll have a bigger wall, you'll have your switches for your lights and all the things that you want.
You guys are queen bed or king bed room?
King. We used to be the queen, but we've upgraded, so.
So we can throw a king in the drawing just to make sure we get enough room there for you and understand where the switches and nightstands and things like that can go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was the other thing, you know, for listening to us, you know, we felt like there's too much clutter in rooms nowadays that we're trying to, you know, keep things simpler. So we were going to get rid of most of the dressers and stuff like that. So probably just the bed and the nightstands and maybe a small TV or, you know, stereo or something like that. And that's why you know, came up with this big closet over here. So the idea was let's take all those, what would be in your, you know, dressers over there and create some built-ins. So this turned out to be a pretty good sized space. So I think Debbie will be really happy.
So this is Debbie's closet. Where's yours?
Yeah. Mine's a little linen one over here. So.
So Dave, I know that we had some issues with these windows in the corners, and I'm just wondering how you made out with those and how we resolved those issues.
Yeah. I had the lumberyard come out and, you know, remeasure and do some stuff. You know, again, another one of those things, decisions on the fly. I actually was maybe a little overzealous or quick on ordering some of the material. There was a price increase on the windows, so I ordered them just after the first year before we were framed, but I assumed everything was fine. And now when we go to an inside corner, we're building up that rigid insulation. It actually encroached on the window. So we were just decided in this case not to bump out the wall, but we would just order a different window and maybe we'll reallocate that window someplace else or give to Habitat for Humanity or something like that, you know, and let somebody else.
So all that padded out the corners, the interior corners became issues because we started batting out too far, making the wall thicker than we originally thought, and that started conflicting with the windows and their trim.
Yeah, right. And just to keep that sense of balance, maybe we could have fit if we slid it to one way, but I was either going to lose a casing on the outside or a casing on the inside, depending on how I slid it out there. So I decided, okay, let's keep the balance of everything. You did such a great job with the things. Why do that? That we just shrunk it up a little bit. And again, we allow for that insulation. But, you know, really, I almost have to take credit for that one for just being so proactive that I thought, hey, price increase, I'm all set, got my list, boom.
Well,
and
the good thing is you had a relationship with the lumberyard, and that's one thing you learn as you go through this process, that the more people you know in the lumberyard, the more chances you get to exercise your friendships over there and come through.
So they're very good on that, and David Lee over there, and he's helped me out, and so he came over, he remeasured all those things and kind of validated, so we're in good shape. But again, these are all the things, you just on a day-to-day decisions that you either you're aware of or they come back to get you, and you got to be able to react. So in case like here, we discovered it quite early that we never really framed the wall. We kind of waited, all right, let's decide the width of that, you know, let's see what we're going to do, talk to both of you guys and try to get an envisionment, you know, what we can do, options for using that window, and I guess the general consensus, form and function, it was better to you know, just proportionally make it a little smaller, but keep that same height and look that we like that's going forward in the project. So yeah, and another question I had for you was upstairs. You know, we get this nice detail in the 2 bedrooms, you know, kind of under the window that intersects the roof line, and wanted to get your opinion on that.
So Dave, we call these things at the windows pans.
Oh, okay, that's the terminology. I was wondering what you were calling it there.
It's basically a shallower pitched zone that we can put copper there to allow the water to shed away from the house and let this window kind of recede into the roof line itself.
Yeah.
Kind of a classic old detail, and it also functions as a water detention.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked. You know, from the visual from the front on the plans, it really looked nice. And again, that pitch would change. The roof line would go much flatter, and that way we still have room for casing and water prevention and everything like that. So we'll just bring a membrane up all through there to protect that from, you know, water getting into there. So.
Membrane all three sides, and then you can at least a quarter inch per foot copper. It's good for that, for pitching of the water too. So
well,
you're very flat with it.
That'd be a good detail, because we're thinking about copper on top of the roof for over there. So I have some flat sheets, and you know, we'll get it bent up and do what we got to do. Okay, well, that was good. I did have that question. You know, what do we do now? We're doing insulation on the roof deck on either side, and how do we get everything to tie in together that it could be as shallow as that and it'd still be okay, as long as we do that membrane and protection and do all that. I think it'll be okay.
So Dave, looking at the roof, you know, when I came out and talked to you guys concerning some of the framing issues, it looks like everything was sorted out and it came out great.
Yeah, it sure did. You know, we had that question, you know, and we had a knee wall and everything. Actually, what defined it was the thickness of the floor system here, and we had to raise everything up. So then we, you know, you guys picked up on it real quick. Well, if you raise it, then we can shrink the knee walls that the roof sits on, and kind of played with those two things to keep that facade outside the same. And I guess we're worried about burying over here and too high in the front and the back, and so we just kind of established the ridge and kind of worked off of that and kind of went backwards, you know. So
it is one of those kind of things you have to figure out in the field, because it is a complicated area. And then once you see it and you start getting pieces and parts up, you can start making better decisions. And by definitely flying by the seat of your pants sometimes is the way you have to go with some of these framing issues.
Right. Yeah, like I say, we have two different elements too. We had the main house where, again, we defined that floor level, and then this is the garage above that. And you know, I think we even designed for a floor system that was different. And then the lumberyard, who does a lot of the takeoffs, you know, came up with a much thicker, you know, floor system on there. So we had to allow for the elevation and, you know, clearance of the garage doors, and so had a lot of things happening right there, and then translated out to here. So you know, when you came out, Greg, appreciate that. And you know, we just set it up and we kind of worked off that line, and now we were like, say, hey, everything looks good. We got that facade out front that we want, that nice continuous fascia that goes across, and we're able to. But at that moment, we were all confused, you know.
And it looks like the floor in here came up about 8 inches to a foot or so?
Yeah. We had to raise at least every bit of that, you know, to gain that headroom that we needed, so we didn't have to go with low clearance track. Or if you walk from the main house into the garage, you know, you're up much higher to step down. You don't want to walk into a track or anything like that for a garage door. So these are, again, those things that we don't really realize on a print until we get going on a project. And again, I think that's a perfect example. We all work together on this one.
Dave, thanks for having us come out today. It was very good to see the project and the progress you've made to date.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I really appreciate you coming. You know, it was some good details we went over there and just validated our, you know, decisions on the fly. Do they make sense, and what went on? You know, you guys were a great resource, and you know, but some things we just made on site and did all that. But I appreciate you know, handling and backing me up with, you know, prints and ideas and what went on, and so excited the project's moving forward.
It's very clear that you're paying attention to detail out here, and you're making sure everything is getting done, and you're working through it with your framers and your architects and everyone else, and the details are coming together.
Yeah, they are. Well, thank you for coming, Rick.
Thanks,
really appreciate it. And Greg?
Absolutely.
Enjoy, guys.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time. And say hi to Debbie.
All right. Well, that was awesome. It was great to have those guys back. They always really such a knowledge base there between Rick and Greg. You know, there's so many decisions that need to be made on here, and again, the takeaway from here is, you know, you got to have a level head. You got to think of all the things that, you know, and be able to make those decisions on the fly. When you can, you have backup resources. Use professionals. In this case, you know, went back to the architects, and you know, we had a little decision with some framing issues, and we were able to clarify, and we moved on, and everything looks good. So I'm real pleased. Things are all pulling together here. Next time we get together, we're going to talk about protecting our investment here. We're putting a lot of money into here. Let's talk about, you know, a house wrap or a building material. We're going to get a manufacturer over here, and he's going to go through some of the options that we have out there. So please stay tuned.